The giant screens in the Galactic Assembly Hall showed the small blue planet for all representatives to see. The room fell silent as Commander Zaxar stepped forward. His gray skin glistened under the soft lights as he addressed the 200 species gathered before him. "We have received a distress signal from this uncharted system," he said, pointing to the screen. "The third planet faces destruction from an asteroid. The primitive civilization there lacks the technology to save themselves." The assembly voted quickly. They would send help. It was their duty as advanced species to aid less developed worlds. They prepared rescue ships, medical supplies, and temporary shelters. They could save perhaps 1 million humans, the best they could do on short notice. Commander Zaxar prepared his diplomatic team. They would make first contact and organize the evacuation. The most deserving humans would be saved and relocated to suitable colony worlds. No one in the assembly expected what they found when they arrived. Earth was classified immediately as a death world: high gravity, extreme weather, and thousands of deadly creatures. The dominant species had evolved there, shaped by constant danger. The assembly ships entered orbit cautiously. They broadcast greetings in mathematical sequences, the universal language. Within hours, a response came. The humans had decoded their message and invited them to a meeting at their space station. Captain Frank Collins waited as the alien shuttle docked. He straightened his uniform and nodded to his security team. The first aliens humanity would meet officially stood behind those doors. He had practiced his greeting for days. The shuttle doors opened. Commander Zaxar stepped out with 3 other aliens. They had 4 arms each, gray skin, and large eyes. They wore no protective gear despite being on a human station. "Welcome to Earth space," Frank said with a slight bow. "I am Captain Collins of the North American Space Defense Force." Commander Zaxar bowed in return. "We received your distress signal. We have come to help evacuate your people before the asteroid strikes." Frank looked confused. "We sent no distress signal. We detected an unusual transmission from your direction 3 months ago. We've been trying to establish contact ever since." Now it was Zaxar's turn to look confused. His large eyes blinked rapidly. "But we detected a signal warning of a large asteroid on course with your planet." Frank nodded slowly. "Ah, you must mean asteroid CB723. Yes, it will pass near Earth in 2 weeks. Our scientists detected it 5 years ago. Pass near? Our calculations show it will hit your world. The impact will destroy most life on your planet." Frank smiled. "Your calculations were correct at the time of your detection, but we adjusted its course 3 years ago with a series of nuclear detonations. It will miss us by roughly 50,000 kilometers." Commander Zaxar and his team exchanged glances. "You already solved the problem?" "Yes, but we appreciate your concern. Please, come to our conference room. We have many questions about your assembly." The aliens followed Frank through the station. They passed windows showing Earth below, beautiful and blue. Humans in uniforms nodded respectfully as they passed. In the conference room, maps and diagrams covered the walls. Military officers and scientists waited at a long table. Dr. Lisa Brown, Earth's leading astronomer, stood to greet the visitors. "We've been studying your approach for weeks," she said. "Your propulsion systems are fascinating. Much more efficient than ours." Commander Zaxar seemed troubled. "If you didn't send a distress signal, then what did we detect?" An older man in the corner spoke up. "That would be my fault." He stood and extended his hand. "Joe Martinez. Communication experiment gone wrong. We were testing a new deep space transmission system. Apparently it worked better than expected." Zaxar didn't understand the hand gesture but nodded respectfully. "We came to save a primitive civilization, but you already saved yourselves." Frank pulled up images on the main screen. "While we're grateful for your willingness to help, we should be clear about something." The screen showed hundreds of ships in formation. "Earth is defended." The aliens studied the images with growing concern. The ships were bulky and armed with what appeared to be kinetic weapons. Nothing elegant about their design, just pure functionality. Iacronaidio, Many vessels do you have? Asked one of Zaxar's assistants. That information is classified, Frank replied with a smile. But I can tell you that every nation on Earth has contributed to our defense fleet. Lisa pointed to another screen showing the asteroid's path. We could have demolished it completely, but we decided to alter its course instead. We're studying its composition as it passes. Commander Zaxar tried to process this information. His mission of mercy had become something else entirely. First contact with a species that had not only survived on a death world, but had thrived and developed advanced technology. Your ships, he said carefully. They appear to be designed for combat, not exploration. Frank nodded. Humanity has always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. We didn't know who or what we might encounter in space. At that moment, alarms sounded throughout the station. A lieutenant rushed into the room. Captain, we've detected unusual activity at the edge of the system. Multiple objects approaching at high speed. Frank's expression hardened. Identify. Unknown, sir. Not matching any known signatures. They're not responding to hails. Commander Zaxar stepped forward. May I see? The lieutenant looked to Frank, who nodded. The screen showed several fast-moving objects heading toward Earth. Zaxar's skin paled. Those are Rulian scout ships. They're not part of the assembly. They're raiders who attack developing worlds. Frank turned to his officers. Battle stations, alert all fleet commanders. The room burst into activity as officers rushed to their posts. To Zaxar, Frank said, It seems your signal didn't just reach the assembly. How dangerous are these Rulians? Very. They target worlds that can't defend themselves. They take resources and slaves. Frank smiled grimly. Then they've made a serious mistake today. He pressed a button on the table. This is Captain Collins. Implement Defense Protocol Sierra. I repeat, Sierra. Through the station windows, Zaxar watched in amazement as ships began to appear from behind Earth's moon. More rose from the planet's surface. Within minutes, hundreds of vessels moved into defensive formations. You had these ships hidden? Zaxar asked. We keep most of our fleet concealed. Standard practice. Lieutenant Emma Davis took her position at the communications console. All ships reporting ready, Captain. The USS Defender is moving into position as flagship. Frank turned to the alien delegation. Commander Zaxar, we welcome peaceful contact with your assembly. But first, it seems we have a mutual problem to solve. He gestured to the screen showing the approaching Rulian ships. Would you like to observe how humans handle threats to our world? Commander Zaxar realized he had fundamentally misunderstood humanity. They hadn't needed rescue. They didn't need evacuation. The Deathworlders were ready for war. Commander Zaxar watched through the large viewing window as the human fleet moved into formation. The ships were unlike anything in the assembly. They were bulky, armored, and built for function over beauty. Some had visible scorch marks and patches from previous battles. How many Rulian ships are approaching? Frank asked, his voice calm. 7 scout vessels and 3 larger warships, answered Lieutenant Emma Davis. She worked quickly at her control panel. They will reach our outer defense line in 20 minutes. Frank turned to Zaxar. Tell me about these Rulians. What are their weaknesses? Zaxar hesitated. His mission was supposed to be a simple rescue operation. Now he was about to witness a battle between humans and one of the most feared species, outside assembly space. They rely heavily on energy weapons, he explained. Their hulls are strong, but their ships generate extreme heat. They must cool down after each major weapons discharge. Frank nodded and turned to his officers. You heard him. Prepare for high-energy attacks. Use the cooling periods to our advantage. The command center buzzed with activity. Officers called out updates and passed along orders. No one showed fear, only focused determination. Dr. Lisa Brown approached Zaxar with a tablet. We need to know if Rulian technology can detect ships emerging from jump points. We've been developing a new approach. Zaxar was surprised by the direct question. No, their sensors have a known blind spot during their scanning cycles. Every 47 seconds, they have a 3-second gap. Lisa smiled. Perfect. She hurried away to share this information. On the main screen, the Rulian ships appeared as red dots moving steadily toward Earth. The human fleet formed a curved line facing the invaders. "Why aren't all your ships moving to engage?" asked one of Zaxar's assistants. Frank pointed to other dots on the display. "Those ships are in position behind asteroid CB723, the same asteroid that was headed for Earth. We're using it for cover." Zaxar realized the humans had not just diverted the asteroid, they had turned it into a strategic asset. The first communication from the Rulians came through. A harsh voice filled the command center. "Primitive world. Surrender your resources and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in planetary bombardment." Frank smiled slightly. "Open a channel." When Emma nodded, he spoke clearly. "Rulian vessels, this is Captain Frank Collins of Earth's Defense Force. You are entering protected space. Reverse course immediately." The Rulian commander appeared on screen. He had rough, scaled skin and rows of sharp teeth. "You dare to give orders? We have scanned your world. Your technology is inferior. Surrender now or be destroyed." Frank ended the transmission and turned to his officers. "They don't know what we have hidden. Let's keep it that way until the last moment." He pressed a button on his chair. "All ships, this is Captain Collins. Execute Operation Hammer." The human fleet began to move. The front line of ships advanced slowly, appearing to challenge the Rulians head-on. But Zaxar noticed smaller, faster vessels moving along different trajectories. "What are those smaller ships doing?" he asked. "Mine layers," Frank explained. "They're creating a trap. The Rulians will focus on our main fleet while the mine layers work unseen." The Rulian ships accelerated. They clearly expected an easy victory. Their first volley of energy weapons flashed across space, striking the shields of the human vessels at the front. "Shields holding at 80%, reported an officer. "Do not return fire yet," ordered Frank. "Let them think their weapons are effective. Continue falling back slowly." Zaxar was confused. "You're retreating?" "We're not retreating. We're leading them exactly where we want them to go." The main fleet pulled back, taking occasional hits from Rulian weapons. The human ships appeared to be struggling, their movements becoming less coordinated. The Rulians pressed forward, sensing victory. Then Frank gave the order. "Now!" The smaller ships that had been circling the battlefield suddenly activated devices they had left behind. A web of energy connected across space, creating a barrier behind the Rulian fleet. At the same time, the ships hidden behind the asteroid moved into position, cutting off escape routes. "The trap is set," Emma announced. Frank nodded. "Signal, the Defender, begin Phase 2. The largest human ship, the USS Defender, moved forward from the rear of the formation. It was massive compared to the other vessels, with multiple weapon systems visible along its hull. The Rulian commander returned to the screen, now looking less confident. "What is this trickery? Your ships cannot match our technology." Frank stood tall. "We evolved on a death world. Trickery keeps us alive." He turned to Emma. "Cut transmission. All ships engage at will." The human fleet attacked from all directions. Unlike the energy weapons of the Rulians, the human ships fired physical projectiles at incredible speeds. They punched through Rulian shields designed to block energy attacks. The Rulians returned fire, their weapons overheating with each discharge. During these cooling periods, the human ships closed distance and fired precisely at vulnerable points. Zaxar watched in amazement. The humans fought with coordination he had never seen before. Each ship knew its role and executed complex maneuvers without hesitation. "They're trying to break through the eastern quadrant," Emma reported. "Let the Minnesota handle it," Frank replied. A human ship moved to block the escape attempt. It took heavy damage but held position. Other vessels rushed to support it, trapping the fleeing Rulians between them. Within 30 minutes, 3 Rulian ships had been disabled. The others were surrounded, their weapons nearly depleted. The Rulian commander appeared once more on screen. His ship was damaged, control panels sparking behind him. "Who are you?" How did you defeat our superior technology? Frank stepped forward. We are humans. We come from Earth. We have spent our entire history fighting against nature, against each other, and now against you. We don't need rescue. We don't need aid. He paused. Remember this when you return to your people. Earth is not a target. Earth is a warning. The remaining Rulian ships surrendered. Human vessels moved in to board them. Commander Zaxar approached Frank. I have misjudged your species. The assembly believed we were coming to save helpless primitives. Frank looked out at the stars. Common mistake. People see our world and think we must be weak to live in such a harsh environment. They don't understand that the difficulty is what made us strong. Lisa joined them holding a data pad. We're already studying their ship designs. Their cooling systems are fascinating. We can learn from this. Zaxar realized something important that day. The assembly had not discovered humans. Humans had allowed themselves to be discovered, exactly when they were ready. What happens now? Zaxar asked. Frank looked at the alien diplomat. Now we talk. About your assembly, about trade, about our place among the stars. He extended his hand, the human gesture of friendship. But first, we need to discuss these Rulians. If they found us once, they'll come back with a larger fleet. Zaxar took the human's hand cautiously. The assembly has avoided conflict with the Rulians for centuries. Frank nodded. Then perhaps it's time the assembly met the people of Earth. We have a saying here. The best defense is a good offense. The stars shone brightly outside the window. Earth turned below them, beautiful and deadly, home to a species that had conquered their own death world and now looked to the stars not with fear but with determination. News of the human victory over the Rulian ship spread quickly through the Galactic Assembly. Emergency meetings were called. Ancient races that had not faced war in thousands of years now worried about the implications of both the Rulian incursion and the unexpected military power of Earth. 3 days after the battle, a grand assembly ship arrived in Earth orbit. It was beautiful, with smooth lines and glowing blue energy fields surrounding its white hull. Next to the bulky human vessels, it looked like a swan among bulldogs. Commander Zaxar met Captain Frank Collins in the docking bay of the space station. The High Council requests your presence at an emergency session. They want to discuss Earth's status in galactic affairs. Frank nodded. I'll need to bring a delegation. Our world leaders want to be part of this conversation. Later that day, 5 human representatives boarded the assembly ship. Frank led the group, joined by Dr. Lisa Brown, General Peter Martinez from the United Earth Defense Force, Ambassador Sandra King, and Engineer John Wilson. They wore their formal uniforms with small pins showing Earth's continents. The assembly chamber was vast with seating for 200 different species. Some floated in special tanks, others needed breathing equipment. The humans were given translator devices to understand the proceedings. High Counselor Vrex, a tall being with 6 limbs and silver skin, called the meeting to order. We faced 2 unexpected developments. First, the Rulians have broken their traditional boundaries and attacked a developing world. Second, that world proved to be far more advanced and capable than our surveys indicated. The chamber filled with nervous chatter. Many representatives looked at the humans with fear or curiosity. The question before us, Vrex continued, is how to respond to both these threats. Frank stepped forward when invited to speak. Earth does not see itself as a threat. We defended our world as any species would, but we recognize that our military capabilities might concern you. A representative from the Brill Collective, a jellyfish-like being floating in a water tank, spoke next. Our concern is justified. You hid your true development level. You built weapons in secret. How can we trust a species that deceives? Ambassador Sandra King responded calmly. We didn't deceive anyone. We simply developed according to our own timeline. Earth has always been cautious. Our history taught us to prepare for all possibilities. Including war? Asked another representative. Especially war, General Martinez said firmly. Humanity has fought many conflicts. We learned from each one. We hoped to find peace among the stars, but we prepared for less friendly encounters. Commander Zaxar spoke up. I have witnessed the humans in battle. They are formidable, yes, but they showed restraint. They disabled Rulian ships when they could have destroyed them. They took prisoners instead of killing. The chamber grew quiet as images of the battle appeared on large screens. The assembly members watched the human tactics with mixed expressions of concern and admiration. Dr. Lisa Brown used this moment to change the subject. We didn't come here to discuss war. We came to join the galactic community. Earth has much to offer beyond military strength. We have art, science, medicine, and unique perspectives from evolving on a challenging world. She displayed examples of human achievements. Music played softly. Images of great human works appeared. Medical breakthroughs and scientific discoveries were explained in simple terms. We call Earth a death world, said a small green representative. How has this affected your development? John Wilson, the engineer, answered. When your world tries to kill you daily, you either adapt or die. Humans adapted. We learned to solve problems quickly. We built tools to overcome our limitations. We developed technology to control our environment instead of being controlled by it. He showed designs for human habitats in extreme environments, deep sea, Arctic regions, burning deserts. These same skills that helped us survive Earth will be valuable throughout the galaxy. We can help terraform worlds others find too harsh. The discussions continued for hours. Some assembly members remained suspicious. Others saw opportunity in human resourcefulness. The debate grew heated at times, with older races warning about the dangers of embracing a species with such warlike tendencies. Finally, a compromise was reached. Earth would be granted provisional membership in the assembly. Humans could establish trade relations and cultural exchanges, but their military movements would be monitored. As the formal meeting ended, smaller groups formed to continue discussions. Frank found himself speaking with representatives from several worlds interested in human technology. Your ships are not elegant, said a bird-like alien from the Crescent worlds, but they are remarkably effective. Our engineers would like to study your propulsion systems. And we would like to learn about yours, Frank replied. That's the benefit of cooperation. Across the room, Dr. Lisa Brown was deep in conversation with medical experts from 3 different worlds. Human biology is fascinating, one told her. Your immune systems are incredibly aggressive. They might help us develop new treatments for diseases that plague gentler species. Ambassador King joined High Counselor Vrex and Commander Zaxar in a private discussion. The Rulians will return, Zaxar warned. They don't accept defeat easily. Let them come, King replied. Earth stands ready, but we would prefer to stand with allies. Vrex looked troubled. The Assembly has maintained peace for thousands of years by avoiding conflict. Your approach is different. Peace. Through strength, King explained. We believe the best way to avoid war is to be prepared for it. The Rulians attacked because they thought Earth was weak. They won't make that mistake again. As the humans prepared to return to their ship, General Martinez received an urgent message from Earth. He gathered the delegation quickly. What's wrong? Frank asked, seeing the general's serious expression. Our deep space monitoring network has detected multiple jumps at the edge of our system. A much larger Rulian fleet is gathering. The news spread through the assembly ship. Representatives, who had been debating human membership, now faced an immediate crisis. The Rulians weren't waiting to plan their revenge. High Counselor Vrex approached the humans. How large is this new fleet? At least 30 warships, Martinez replied. 5 times what we faced before. Vrex's silver skin paled. The Assembly has no defense fleet capable of facing such a force. We have only peacekeeping vessels. Frank looked around at the worried alien faces, then he smiled confidently. Earth does not ask for assembly ships. We have our own fleet, but we do request something else. What? Asked Vrex. Full membership in the Assembly, effective immediately. We will defend not just Earth, but all Assembly worlds. In return, we want recognition as equals. The Assembly chamber erupted in debate once more, but this time, Fear of the approaching Rulian fleet gave the humans leverage. Even the most cautious representatives now saw value in Earth's military strength. As the debate raged, Frank looked out a viewport at Earth below. The blue planet spun peacefully, unaware of the galactic politics deciding its fate. Whatever came next, humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe. Not as rescued primitives, but as warriors and defenders, bringing the lessons of their death world to the stars. The Assembly voted quickly this time. Earth was granted full membership. Fear of the approaching Rulian fleet pushed even the most reluctant representatives to accept human help. Within hours, the human delegation returned to Earth to prepare their defenses. Back at Earth's command center, General Martinez stood before a wall of screens showing ship positions. The room buzzed with activity as officers worked at their stations. Commander Zaxar and 3 other Assembly representatives had come to observe human battle preparations. The Rulians have 32 warships and 16 support vessels, Martinez explained. They will reach our outer defense line in 14 hours. Captain Frank Collins studied the display. We have 27 ships ready for immediate action. Another 15 can join from Mars orbit within 6 hours. The lunar fleet needs more time for repairs. Will that be enough? Asked Zaxar. His large eyes showed worry. Numbers don't win battles, Frank replied. Strategy does. Dr. Lisa Brown entered the room carrying data tablets. We've analyzed the captured Rulian ships. Their technology is advanced, but their tactical systems are predictable. They rely on standard attack patterns. Predictability is weakness, said Martinez. We'll use that against them. Ambassador Sandra King joined them, looking tired but determined. I've spoken with all Earth governments. Everyone is united. All resources are available for defense. Frank turned to Zaxar. Does the Assembly have any intelligence on Rulian command structure? Who leads their forces? War Chief Drax. Zaxar answered. He has conquered 12 systems outside Assembly space. He never retreats and never negotiates. The Assembly has avoided direct conflict with him for decades. Until now, Frank said grimly. Engineer John Wilson arrived with exciting news. We've successfully integrated Rulian shield technology with our ships. The Defender and 5 other vessels now have hybrid defense systems that can withstand their energy weapons much longer. The humans worked through the night. Ships were repositioned. Weapons were modified. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became a strategic asset, with hundreds of small fighters hidden among the rocks. Ambassador King addressed the United Earth Council one last time before battle. Her speech was broadcast across the planet and to all human colonies in the solar system. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for our place among the stars. The Rulians thought us weak because our world is harsh. They will learn that difficulty breeds strength. Humanity stands ready. As the Rulian fleet approached, a surprising message arrived from the Assembly. High Counselor Vrex announced that 5 peacekeeping vessels would join the human defense. It was a small force, but an important symbol of unity. Frank welcomed the Assembly ships when they arrived. We appreciate your support, but your vessels are not built for combat. How can they assist? The Assembly captain, a tall blue-skinned being named Laurel, explained. Our ships have advanced sensor arrays. We can detect Rulian movements even when they try to hide. We will be your eyes. Perfect, Frank replied. He assigned the Assembly vessels to coordinate with human sensor teams. As the countdown to contact EO reached 2 hours, Frank called his top officers together. The Rulians expect us to defend Earth directly. We won't. Instead, we'll engage them at these points. He highlighted 3 locations in space, all away from Earth. We're not going to protect the planet? Asked a young lieutenant. Earth is already protected, Frank said with confidence. Our new planetary shield generators came online yesterday. They can withstand bombardment for days if necessary. That gives us freedom to fight on our terms, not theirs. The battle began exactly as Frank predicted. The Rulian fleet divided into 3 attack groups, each heading for a different approach to Earth. War Chief Drax's flagship led the largest group. Instead of forming a defensive line, the human fleet scattered into small, fast-moving squadrons. Each targeted vital systems on Rulian ships. Engines, weapon controls, and communication arrays. They're trying to surround the Mars Approach Squadron, reported Emma from her communication station. Let them, ordered Frank. Activate Delta. Plan. Hidden throughout the asteroid belt, human fighters launched simultaneously. They were small one-person crafts with minimal weapons but extreme maneuverability. They swarmed the Rulian ships like angry bees, targeting sensors and external weapon systems. On the main screen, the battle unfolded across the solar system. The Rulians had superior firepower, but couldn't coordinate their attacks effectively. Human ships refused to fight directly, instead striking quickly and retreating, drawing the Rulians deeper into carefully prepared killing zones. Commander Zaxar watched in amazement. Your people fight like no species I've ever seen. You don't protect territory, you protect each other. That's the key difference, General Martinez explained. The Rulians see ships as weapons. We see them as people. Every vessel contains our brothers and sisters. We fight to bring them home. 6 hours into the battle, the Rulians had lost 9 ships. Human losses stood at 4 vessels, with 7 more damaged but still fighting. The Rulian advance had stalled. War Chief Drax grew frustrated. His carefully planned assault was falling apart against these unpredictable humans. He ordered his remaining ships to regroup and make a direct assault on Earth itself. They're changing strategy, reported the Assembly Captain Laurel. All Rulian vessels are converging on Earth. They plan to overwhelm the planetary defenses with concentrated fire. Frank smiled. Exactly as we hoped. All ships execute Hammer of Sol. The USS Defender and 5 other heavy cruisers moved into position behind the Rulian fleet. At the same time, the mysterious weapon called Hammer of Sol was revealed. It wasn't a ship or a conventional weapon. It was the sun itself. Engineer Wilson had designed massive solar reflectors that had been positioned over weeks. On Frank's command, they aligned perfectly, concentrating the sun's energy into a powerful beam that overloaded Rulian sensors. Temporarily blinded, the Rulian ships couldn't detect the approaching human vessels. The Defender led the attack, targeting War Chief Drax's flagship with precision strikes. Their shields are down, reported Emma. Engine systems critical. They're sending a distress signal to the rest of their fleet. Frank opened a communication channel. War Chief Drax, this is Captain Collins. Your attack has failed. Surrender your vessels or be destroyed. The Rulian commander appeared on screen. His scaled face showed rage and disbelief. Impossible. You are primitives from a harsh world. How did you defeat my fleet? Because of our harsh world, Frank replied calmly. Earth taught us to adapt, or die. We chose to adapt. Your surrender terms? Drax snarled. Rulians do not surrender. Then you leave us no choice. Frank turned to his weapons officer. Target their command systems only. Disable, don't destroy. The final phase of the battle lasted less than 30 minutes. Without central command, the Rulian fleet fell into disarray. Some ships continued fighting until they were disabled. A few attempted to flee but were caught by human vessels hiding in the outer system. When it was over, 17 Rulian ships had been captured intact. 9 were destroyed when their commanders refused to surrender. The rest retreated, jumping away to unknown destinations. Earth had suffered damage to orbital facilities and brave crews had been lost, but the planet itself remained safe, protected by both technology and human determination. As the Assembly representatives watched the aftermath, Zaxar turned to Frank. The Assembly came to save you from an asteroid. Instead, you saved the Assembly from the Rulians. Frank looked out at the stars. That's what humans do. We survive. We protect. And now, we've earned our place among the stars. 1 year after the Rulian defeat, Earth had changed. Ships from across the galaxy now visited regularly. Alien technology merged with human innovation. New buildings rose in major cities with designs influenced by assembly architecture. Humanity had taken its place among the stars. Captain Frank Collins stood on the observation deck of the New Earth Embassy Station. The massive ring-shaped structure orbited between Earth and the Moon, serving as the main contact point for alien visitors. Through the large windows, he watched ships arrive and depart. Commander Zaxar joined him. The alien diplomat now served as the Assembly's permanent representative to Earth. The council meeting begins in 20 minutes, he reminded Frank. I know, Frank replied. I'm just enjoying the view. The station buzzed with activity. Humans worked alongside beings from 30 different worlds. What had begun as cautious cooperation had grown into genuine friendship. Frank and Zaxar walked to the main council chamber. The circular room had seats for representatives from all Earth nations and major assembly species. Today's meeting would address an important new development. Ambassador Sandra King called the session to order. She had become Earth's voice in galactic affairs. Today we discuss the Assembly's proposal for a joint defense force, she announced. The Rulian threat continues beyond our borders. Many worlds remain vulnerable. High Counselor Vrex appeared on the large screen. The silver-skinned alien looked more comfortable with humans now. For thousands of years, the Assembly avoided military action. We believed peace came from diplomacy alone. Earth showed us otherwise. Sometimes strength must support peaceful intentions. General Martinez presented the human plan. We propose a combined fleet. Earth will provide combat vessels and tactical leadership. Assembly worlds will contribute technology, support ships, and specialized knowledge. Together we can secure trade routes and protect developing worlds. The discussion continued for hours. Some Assembly representatives worried about giving humans too much military authority. Others saw no alternative. The Rulians had retreated, but not surrendered. Reports indicated they were rebuilding their forces. Engineer John Wilson showed designs for new ships combining human durability with Assembly technology. These vessels will be faster, stronger, and more efficient than anything we've built before, he explained. Dr. Lisa Brown presented medical advancements. By studying diverse biology across species, we've developed treatments for diseases that once seemed incurable. This cooperative approach works for defense as well. Eventually, the Council voted. The Joint Defense Initiative would begin immediately. Earth would train crews from peaceful Assembly worlds. Assembly scientists would help improve human technology. Together, they would patrol the borders of Assembly space. After the meeting, Frank found himself in a quieter observation lounge with Zaxar. The Earth spun below them, beautiful and blue. 1 year ago, we thought we were rescuing primitive beings from a doomed world, Zaxar said. Instead, we found the defenders we never knew we needed. Frank smiled. Humanity spent centuries divided, fighting among ourselves. Now we have a larger purpose. Protection instead of conflict. A young lieutenant entered with an urgent message. Captain, we've detected unusual activity at the edge of Assembly space. Multiple ships of unknown design. Rulians? Frank asked. No, sir. Different energy signatures. Nothing in our database matches. Frank and Zaxar exchanged glances. New players entering the game, Frank said. They hurried to the command center. The large screen showed strange vessels moving in formation. They were unlike anything seen before, with curved shapes that seemed to shift and change. We're receiving a transmission, announced Lieutenant Emma Davis. She had been promoted after the Rulian battle and now served as communications director. The screen displayed a being unlike any they had seen. It had flowing tentacles and multiple eyes set in a spherical body. When it spoke, the translation system struggled to keep up. We are the Void Collective. We have observed your recent conflicts. Your species interests us. We wish to establish communication. Frank looked at Zaxar, then at the Assembly representatives present. Open a channel. When the connection was established, Frank spoke clearly. This is Captain Frank Collins of Earth, member world of the Galactic Assembly. We welcome peaceful contact with new civilizations. The alien being studied him through the screen. You are from the Deathworld, the one that defeated the Rulian fleet. We have been watching from afar. Earth is our home, Frank replied. We protect it and our allies. Protection. An interesting concept. The Rulians seek to conquer. The Assembly seeks to avoid. You seek to protect. Different approaches to existence. General Martinez had joined them and whispered to Frank. We're tracking 27 ships in their fleet. Advanced technology, but not necessarily weapons. Frank nodded slightly. What are your intentions in assembly space? He asked the alien. We explore, we learn, we trade knowledge. Your species emerged from isolation recently, yet you have already changed galactic politics. This defies predictions. Ambassador King stepped forward. Perhaps your predictions didn't account for the human experience. Our harsh world taught us to adapt, to innovate, and to protect what we value. The alien seemed to consider this. We wish to understand this perspective. The Void Collective proposes an exchange of knowledge. After the transmission ended, the council chamber erupted in discussion. Some feared another threat. Others saw opportunity. Frank listened to all views before speaking. 1 year ago, we didn't know we weren't alone in the universe. Now we face our second contact with an unknown civilization. This is humanity's new reality. What do you propose? Asked Zaxar. Cautious engagement. We'll meet their representatives at a neutral location. We'll listen and learn, but we'll also be prepared for any outcome. As the plans formed for first contact with the Void Collective, Frank returned to the observation deck. Earth continued its silent spin below. So much had changed, yet humans remained true to their nature, curious, cautious, and determined. Dr. Lisa Brown joined him. Another adventure begins, she said. That's humanity's story, Frank replied. Always moving forward, always facing the unknown. The stars shone brightly beyond the window. Among them were allies, enemies, and mysteries waiting to be discovered. Earth had taken its place in this vast community not as a victim needing rescue, but as a protector. When the assembly had detected that first signal from Sul, they thought they were reaching Deathworlders who needed aid. Instead, they found a species forged by hardship into something remarkable, a civilization that understood that strength came with responsibility. As the new alien fleet approached the meeting point, the joint human assembly defense ships moved into escort formation. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The Deathworlders had become the defenders, turning their harsh history into a shield for all peaceful worlds. Frank smiled as he gave the order to proceed. This was just the beginning of humanity's story among the stars.